Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Yes, you are all making Gotham great again. One of the ways you make Gotham great again is by supporting me at patreon.com/Graham Elwood, like where Alex Talk does, who submitted this article. We've talked about Venezuela before. We've been sanctioning this country because they have some of the largest oil reserves in the world. And they won't give them to us. What does that mean? So now some people are theorizing that there's some October surprise coming. Trump, who's slipping in the polls now, might invade a country, and they're theorizing it might be Venezuela. The stage is set for a Venezuela October surprise. Somebody wrote this the end of August. The hybrid war against Venezuela is intensifying as the U.S. presidential campaign is heating up. The Trump administration and its Venezuelan and international allies and the CIA puppet Juan Guaido, he just stands up, I'm the new president. Because Maduro basically was Chavez got into power, nationalized the oil in the late 90s, gave the oil to the people, brought people out of poverty, schools, did all this stuff. All of a sudden, he became a terrorist. I remember after 9/11 and Bush was like, oh, we got to stop the terrorism, and Iraq and Afghanistan and Venezuela. And I was like, what? Venezuela? What did they do? So, and people can say, but Graham, Maduro's done these things. I'm not saying Maduro's some saint, some perfect guy, but you have to understand when America gets involved, like when they want to overthrow a dictator, when there's a humanitarian crisis, unjust, it's because they won't give up the resources. It's that way all the time. If Maduro was giving up his oil to us, he could do whatever he wanted. He could set his citizens on fire in the middle of the downtown and no one would give a shit. The U.S. State Department would not care. Look what's happening in Yemen. Saudi Arabia is doing that. We're giving them weapons. We're letting it happen. We're involved in this war. We don't care because it's the Saudis. They give us oil. They buy our weapons. We're good. I've set the stage for an October surprise, a possible attack by the United States or one of its proxies designed to boost President Trump's reelection. The attacks on Venezuela are coming from multiple dimensions, including overt military pressure, economic pressure, covert operations, and disinformation campaigns. All of these are elements of a hybrid war that has sought to overthrow the government of President Nicolas Maduro over the past years. And each element has seen new developments over the past weeks, just as Venezuela is battling the surge in COVID-19 cases. So this is how insane we are as an empire. We're sanctioning and doing all this covert stuff in the middle of a pandemic. We're sanctioning Iran and Venezuela and a handful of other countries on top of the 7 countries we're bombing. So we're making the pandemic worse in those parts of the world, which will just spread to the whole world. And we're spending valuable taxpayer money that could be supporting the American people, who 30% of which are out of work. There's 28 to 30 million looming evictions happening. There's literally food lines in this country, but we always got money for war and sanctions and nonsense. The U.S. naval deployment to Venezuela's maritime border is about to begin its 5th month of operations in the area. Even the few Democrats in Congress willing to criticize Trump's Venezuela policy have said nothing about this deployment. Well, that when it's war, it is always bipartisan. Boy, the Democrats love giving. They've signed off on numerous times to increase Trump's war budget. Numerous times, the democratically controlled Congress, Elizabeth Warren has in the Senate. Like, no problem. They have no problem with it. None. Perhaps because it's entirely normal for the United States to threaten war in a country and then dock its Navy right outside. The silence from Democrats is unfortunate, as this could easily have been used as an example of the Pentagon's wastefulness. Nothing was said in the vice presidential and presidential debates. Nothing. You saw 2 Republican debates. Kamala Harris said 3 times, one of them directly to camera, Joe Biden will not stop. He won't ban fracking. She said that. Nothing about how all these Trump's in all these wars, because the Democrats can't criticize Trump for all these wars, because 5 of these 7 wars were started by Obama. Obama dropped more bombs than Bush. The war machine owns both parties. This notion that the Democrats are so different is hilarious to me. The science from Democrats is unfortunate, as it could easily have been used as an example of the Pentagon's wastefulness. Deploying a massive counter-narcotics operation in the Caribbean when 84% of the cocaine in the U.S. transits through the Pacific could be low-hanging fruit in the debate to cut military spending. No discussion in both of the debates about cutting military spending. Zero, neither. Biden didn't bring it up. Harris didn't bring it up. Trump and Pence aren't going to bring it up. Nobody brought it up. In Colombia, President Ivan Duque met with National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien and head of U.S. Southern Command Craig Fowler on August 18th, where they announced the Colombian Growth Initiative. Oh, a neighboring country. They better, if Colombia doesn't let American military come into a neighboring country so they can do airstrikes and attacks and ground attacks from Colombia, then Colombia gets wiped out. So Colombia has to play ball. See how it works? A multi-billion-dollar plan that O'Brien says is focused on rural development, infrastructure expansion, security, and the rule of law. There's that word security. Will help some farmers as long as we can shoot rockets from their farms into Venezuela when this strike starts in October. So we've been ramping up for war. That's what we do. 2 days after the visit with U.S. officials, Duque basically accused Venezuela of trying to acquire medium and long-range missiles from Iran. Both Iran and Venezuela deny the allegations. See? And Colombia's like, well, we had the American ATF and the FBI and the military bomb the shit out of us and do all this stuff to stop the drug trafficking in the 80s and early 90s, so we're going to play ball. Ecuador had Julian Assange in its embassy, and suddenly they were getting some $500 million IMF deal. Oh, Assange has to go. See how America just exerts its imperialism all over the world? This is how we do it. On August 27th, the Colombian court authorized a U.S. military unit to restart its advising mission. So we've got boots on the ground in Colombia, ready for a ground attack into Venezuela. That's what that means. We've heard this since Korea. After previously suspending such cooperation in light of constitutional challenge with regards to the deployment of foreign troops on Colombian soil. This unit, a Special Forces Assistance Brigade, is designed to build a professional military force. It's worth noting that that in his tell-all book, former NSA advisor John Bolton claims to have learned in February 2019 that Colombia's troops simply weren't ready for conventional conflict with Maduro's armed forces. So we create a bad guy, then we say the neighbors aren't ready, so we got to go in and help. So we create these problems, and then we act like we had no choice. Maduro's killing his own people. Colombia's army's not ready. What else are we supposed to do? Oh, you mean the country that you've been sanctioning? You destabilized it? You've blocked it? God. Venezuela's southern neighbor, Brazil, has also involved in the escalation because Bolsonaro is a fascist asshole. The Brazilian Air Force is holding military exercises between August and September. They already had them. The exercises, which were reported as training for non-conventional combat against insurgent or paramilitary forces, include Black Hawk helicopters and fighter jets. Gee, I wonder where they got those. Brazil and Colombia cooperate closely on military matters with the United States. In July event in Miami, President Trump was introduced to Brigadier General Juan Carlos Correa of Colombia and Major General David of Brazil by Admiral Fowler, who said the men work for him. Former Brazilian President Lula da Silva expressed alarm that his country's military may be used for actions incompatible with constitutional principles of non-intervention and self-determination of peoples. See why it's so critical? They got the #1 oil reserves in the world, put a fake president in there, CIA puppet, Guaido, make Maduro out to be a madman, get the neighboring countries on board. We've done this all over the place. The Middle East, Southeast Asia. I mean, we've done this all over the place. On the economic front, the United States seized 2 tankers of fuel purchased by Venezuela on August 14th. The brazen act of piracy didn't get much attention on the mainstream media, but is part of the strategy to suffocate Venezuela's economy, which is facing gasoline shortages due to the difficulty in importing necessary chemical additives and spare parts for refineries. This article goes on and on. Disinformation campaigns and COVID-19 social media shutdowns. Look at this map. They declared the Maduro government is an urgent threat to democracy, economic stability, and the COVID-19 response. Because Venezuela's numbers have spiked. So they help make the situation worse. So their numbers are spiking. Oh, now they can't even handle COVID. Yet, as seen in the graph above, it's ludicrous to claim that Venezuela is a COVID-19 threat. The country is doing significantly better than its neighbors. Yeah, it's better than... Wow, look at Venezuela's all the way at the bottom. I'm sorry, I misread this. Chile, Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, all worse than Venezuela. They're doing way better. That low bar on the bottom, that's Venezuela. Jesus. So this article's in the show notes, everybody. Senator Marco Rubio has been advising the Trump administration that military action against Venezuela would ensure Florida's Electoral College votes in November. God. It should be noted that these allegations have not been independently verified, and Senator Rubio has not commented. Of course, he hasn't commented on them. However, President Trump's hawkish Venezuela policy is based around winning Florida, and many of the events detailed above have been put into motion to give the president the military option he's been threatening since August of 2017. So, it's October 12th. Get ready. So Trump did this COVID thing. So I think he has COVID, but he's taken, I beat COVID. I'm immune. No, you got $1.5 million in treatment, which no regular person can afford. Like 10 people in the world have gotten this treatment or something insane like that. So get ready for a false flag, like a Venezuelan ship blows up an American tanker, something like that. We had no choice. There's going to be something like that. Venezuela is going to detonate a Venezuelan terrorist group is going to blow up something in Miami or something awful like that. There's going to be a false flag, and we're going to go in the next week or so. Especially now with Trump trailing in all the polls. And he said, he's fine. He's fit for duty, but the White House won't reveal he just tested negative for COVID. He's over. He doesn't have it anymore. They won't reveal that. So he's going to do all these campaigns and I'm back on the campaign trail, but you can pump yourself full of $1 million worth of shit as long as you want. But if your body can't do it, your body can't do it. And he's going to collapse on the campaign trail or something. And if he shows that much weakness and then he's like trailing in the polls by 30 points, then you better believe there's going to be a war in Venezuela. And then riots in the street of America. Oh, martial law. Let's suspend the election. Hold on, whatever. And this isn't just awful Trump. This is the American empire. Obama was part of this. Hillary Clinton was talking about going into Venezuela. She's been talking about going into Iran since 2007. Again, another country that won't give up its oil. Excuse me. Get ready, folks. False flag is coming. There's a false flag coming, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening. So, and this always helps politicians and presidents that are losing elections or want to guarantee a win, have a war right around the election time. Have a war right around election time. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. Support us at patreon.com, like Alex Talk did, who submitted this article. Patreon.com/Graham Elwood. Also, rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Like and subscribe to YouTube and watch all the ads. When you skip the ads, I do not get paid. Also, we're on Rockfin. All the videos are on Rockfin ad free. It's free to sign up to Rockfin. Go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. And for $10 a month, you get all the content creators on Rockfin's premium content. One $10 a month gets you everybody's premium content. So check that out. We also have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. A lot of wonderful ways to support the show because I'm completely viewer funded. 90% of the revenue that supports this show all comes from you folks. Thanks for watching. You're making Gotham great again. And boom, shave your knuckles for justice because you're all political vigilantes.